One.
Oh, okay, yeah. Welcome to our first episode of Relief Debrief. Thank you so much. Hi guys, oh, you can see us now. Thank you so much for tuning in for our first episode of Relief Debrief. And the premise behind this is basically to get you guys to get involved and volunteers and to sort of explain our experiences from the field and visiting our offices all around the world and visiting our projects and or even challenges and things like that, just our experiences working with Islamic Relief. So please, before we get started, follow us on social media so you can stay up to date for all of our episodes that are going to be coming up this year.
Great. Thanks, Arshia. So now we'll kind of, I'll do a quick rundown of what we have planned for tonight's little webinar. So we'll introduce ourselves, who we are within Islamic Relief, and then I myself did a visit to Pakistan recently, so I'll talk about my experience and some of the stories that I was able to experience there. And then Arshia recently visited Kosovo, so she'll talk about her trip. And then finally, we just want to give you a quick sneak peek into one of our upcoming marketing campaigns. And then finally, ways that you guys can get involved and really take part in some of these exciting initiatives that we have at IRC as well. So starting off with who we are. So my name is Yusra. I am the HR manager here at Islamic Relief. I've been with IR for about 3 years. And like I said, I got the incredible opportunity to visit Pakistan in late November.
And my name is Arshia Lakhani. I'm the creative engagement coordinator here at Islamic Relief. I've been here for about just over 2 years. And I was able to visit Kosovo, which is a small country in Eastern Europe.
Awesome. So I'll start with my visit to Pakistan. So we'll first start with a short country profile on Pakistan to give you guys some context into what the situation within that country is like and what some of our work has been in the past. So we, Islamic Relief Canada, and just to give you kind of a quick overview if you're not familiar with the way we're set up, we have different types of offices. So Islamic Relief is actually, Islamic Relief Canada is considered a partner office. So our main job is to collect funds from the community here, and then we fund different projects around the world. So as many of you may know, we're supporting projects in 30 different countries around the world, Pakistan being one of them. And then we have field offices in these countries. So the Pakistan field office began work in 1992. And to date, we have reached about close to 120,000 individuals through different types of programs. So WASH, which is water and sanitation. We have health services. We do construction of different shelters, kits for winter warmth. We do livelihood projects, so food distributions, all that kind of really great stuff. And about the country itself, about 42% of the population is illiterate, and 35% of people have to travel over 1 kilometer to get water or a clean water source. 60% of the population is food insecure, means they don't have access or they don't have confirmed access to food to feed their families every day. So that's just kind of some, and the rest of it is on your screen, so you can kind of read up on what the situation is like in the country, where we work. So there's a small map that kind of indicates the different regions within Pakistan. And some of our current projects that we have ongoing in Pakistan that Islamic Relief Canada has funded. So we have about 550 sponsored orphans within the country. We're also doing a project called Decent Livelihood. So basically we're researching different platforms to provide people of a lower socioeconomic status with opportunities. So that's getting jobs, education, that kind of stuff. Finally, we have a partnership with the Shahid Afridi Foundation, which is a hospital. So we are supporting them to strengthen their services. And lastly, we also have solar water pumps to help with giving people access to safe drinking water. So that's a little kind of overview of the country itself. Now, diving into my trip. So I was lucky enough to visit and really have a better understanding of how some of our projects are run. My primary focus was on the orphan sponsorship. So I was able to visit some of the families who have kids that are being sponsored through the program. One of the really neat things was a parallel program called Channels of Hope. So the way our orphan sponsorship works at Islamic Relief is it's a one-to-one. It's a unique program. So when someone says they want to sponsor an orphan, they actually get paired up with one child. And that money that they are giving to the child, it's basically they're transferring over a donation, and that helps with their education, shelter, for providing them with food. So it's obviously to help them kind of live a regular life as close to a normal life as possible. But outside of that, this was a really neat initiative that I got to really witness. Was so it's called Channels of Hope, and basically the idea is to go beyond just providing them with the basic needs, but also helping develop the communities and strengthen them. So through teaching them about child protection. So they would get faith leaders who are very revered in these communities to come and talk to the mothers of orphans on what it is that they can talk to their children about in terms of stranger danger, and really pushing education and championing their dreams and all of that really, really neat stuff. So that was really cool to see that it's not just about, here you go, here's some money, go to school, but it's about telling them the importance of education and giving them that hope that they do have the potential to do great things. So that was really, really neat to see. And then I do have a bit of a case study I can share. So we met these two siblings, brother and sister. They're both sponsored through the program, and their story was really inspirational. I mean, they had a very rough start. So both of the kids, when they were under, I guess, 4, their father passed away, and it really hit the family really hard. They're obviously already in the lower socioeconomic bracket, so that obviously, not having a lot of financial support, they had to rely on family members. And then the mom didn't take it well either, and she had some mental health issues, to the point where she was on the verge of having to do some drastic things for her own children. The field officer told us that she was, at one point wanting to even kill her own children. So she was in a very bad space. But through this program, they were able to get sponsorship. These kids were able to go to school, and the mom was also involved. So I mean, just because you're not an orphan, doesn't mean that you can't benefit from it either. Because her kids were getting supported, the mom was involved in it. So there's small pockets of communities where these orphan kids are getting sponsored, and so she was involved, really heavily involved. The field officers worked really hard. She would coordinate with the moms in that region, and have a more of a leadership capacity. So this really helped with her mental health as well. And when we met them, she was doing so much better. She was, working with other moms. The kids are phenomenal in school. The little girl sang songs for us, and she has won many awards at school for speech competitions. She's so confident, mashallah. Even her brother, really smart. They're so ambitious, and to see that this kind of hope exists for these kids through the orphan sponsorship was really touching. And there was a moment too when we met with all these mothers in a group, and they were all so grateful for the sponsorship they're getting. And it was just a moment like, okay, this is actually impacting lives, and it's changing lives, and they have the ability to do things that they wouldn't have been able to do before. So that was really cool. And another really cool aspect of it doesn't happen everywhere where we operate, but in Pakistan specifically, the field office was telling me that some of the kids that have graduated from the orphan sponsorship program, so I think we, once they're 18 and they're able to kind of work and things like that, that's them graduating. They actually have an internship program. So they've been able to hire some of the kids that were part of the OSP, which is orphan sponsorship, to work at the Islamic Relief Canada office. So that was really cool to see, kind of like a really great positive circle. It comes back around. They start as orphans who need support, and then they're able to get a job and make an earning for themselves. So that was really nice. And the field officers that work there, they're so proud of these kids, and they treat them like their own. So it was such a great positive thing to see that all of this work is having a tremendous impact. And just some of my own reflections, as I kind of already mentioned, is that it is a very, very real impact. So, we sit here on this end, and we can probably donate some amount of money or volunteer some of our time in the programs. But it's hard to really connect sometimes or understand the difference it's making in people's lives. But I was able to see that from the ground, and actually hear it from the people themselves, from the beneficiaries themselves, that mothers were coming up to me like crying, saying thank you so much for all the work that we do, or the donations that they get, because it's really helping them stay hopeful and despite the tribulations and the adversity they face in their lives. So I guess a lesson for all of us is, it's sometimes it can be challenging. We don't have enough time to volunteer, or having to make that effort to do it, or even, giving the donations and stuff. But all of that really does pay off. And whenever you feel disconnected or down, just know that there literally is someone in any given corner of the world praying for us for all the work that we try and put in. So that was really neat, and as I feel incredibly privileged to be able to experience that. So enough from me. I hope you guys enjoyed that little kind of story from Pakistan, and we'll kind of give it over to Arshia, and she'll talk about her trip.
Hi guys. So I ended up going to Kosovo, which is a small country in the Balkans region of Eastern Europe. And as you can see on the slide, there is actually a GIF of Dua Lipa, if anybody knows her. So that's actually her home country. Her parents are originally from Kosovo. And it's actually the smallest country within the region. And a lot of people don't know this, but it was actually undergoing a war in the 90s between the neighboring countries. And a lot of people actually fled, millions of people fled the country because of the conflict. And when they returned, they found their homes demolished, schools destroyed. The country was completely in ruins. And even when we visited there, just driving through the streets, you can see the wreckage and the remnants of the war, where houses are completely destroyed, and you can see bullet holes in like certain houses that are just abandoned. So you can definitely still see the remnants of the war, which is really sad. And it's actually one of the poorest countries in the country and in Europe, with over a 51% unemployment rate. And for youth, it's a 60% unemployment rate, which is like a huge number of people, more than half the country. So there's a lot of work to be done there, which is why, Islamic Relief does operate out of there. And some of the really amazing projects that we have going on, I was really excited to see them because they were actually livelihood projects, and they were there to start sustainable development within communities. And for me, that's really exciting because it takes development work to another level. So you're going from just Band-Aid solutions, which are important, when emergencies happen, you definitely have to be there to support people. But, actually helping communities lift themselves out of poverty is an incredible thing to witness. So we got to see that with some of the projects in Kosovo, which included goat farming, raspberry farming, and of course, as Yusra was touching upon, the orphan sponsorship, which supports people, children throughout, their adolescence, as well as winter warmth projects. It actually gets really cold there, and it was snowing. I was kind of embarrassed as a Canadian to be cold in Kosovo, but it happens. So the first project that I want to talk about is the raspberry farming project. And what's so unique about this project is that it actually helps single female-headed households. So women whose husbands have passed away during the war or were killed during the war were actually prioritized during this project. And we met a few women and families who had just gone through catastrophic situations. Their husbands had just one day gone missing, and they had to take care of their 3 kids. And in order to not be found by, forces that could kill them, they would just hide in the mountains, and then they would move from city to city, and eventually they would come back home after the war had ended. But their situations were so dire. And so when we came to this raspberry farming project, they were talking about that history and how this project had actually, given women a sense of independence and purpose. So I really love this project because one of the interesting things was, so basically Islamic Relief provides seeds to these families that have farms. And they plant, and they give them the training and the skills to be able to plant these raspberries and sustain the farms themselves. And one of the interesting things is they actually give them a specific breed of raspberry, which is called a poker raspberry. And what's different about this is that it actually has a longer harvesting season, which means, so as opposed to a 2-month harvesting, it's actually along 4 months. So raspberries continue to grow throughout 4 months, which means that there are more raspberries, obviously, which amounts to more income for these families. So it was actually really interesting to see that they had chosen this specific breed of raspberry to allow families to save up more income to send their kids to school, to pay for fees, to pay for food and basic necessities, which was amazing. So then after these raspberries are harvested by the families, they're actually taken to an export center where they're either sold domestically within the country, or they're actually exported to countries like Germany, which is one of their major exports, which is incredible. So it's like a full cycle of just, you see these families who went through war and then coming out of it, giving women who are struggling with their children a sense of independence. And when we asked some of the mothers, what do you enjoy farming? And they said they love it. They love waking up every day and being, you know, just like going out there, going to the farm, picking these raspberries and giving themselves a sense of purpose. And it also really helped, you know, their children. This particular boy, you see in the photo, he's one of 3 brothers who, you know, the mother was really happy that they also were able to go to school. They were off the streets. They, you know, they weren't going to be put in precarious situations where they could cause trouble. That they were actually given a purpose, and, you know, they developed work ethic. So it really is a holistic project that I found that was incredible. And the next project that we visited, which was also super cool, was the goat farming project. So this is also based out of Kosovo, and it supports female-headed households. So again, women whose husbands were killed or are not present. It really helped. They helped them develop the skills to be able to. They would essentially give them 40 goats. And then they would help them, give them the equipment and the shelter necessary. So they would build them the barn. We would give them the milking equipment, and it's actually like a really new fandangled thing. I thought they were just going to do the udders, but no, they had this huge like machine where you can put the goat and you can like set it up, and it was really cool. So we weren't able to see that because it wasn't milking season, but we did get to try some amazing goat cheese, and it tasted phenomenal. It was fantastic. And they were so happy to welcome us into their home and have us try their cheese, and they sell it. So basically, yeah, we give them the resources to be able to build the barn, all the training necessary. And the woman that you see in the photo, she actually is the matriarch and the dawn of the family who was running this farm with her sons. And she was fantastic. She was phenomenal. She's such a quiet lady, but she was very humble. And she had also had a very difficult life. Hearing her story through the war was hard for us to listen to. But then when you see the situation that she's in now and how she was able to bring herself and her family out of poverty, and through this project, actually, she was able to afford not just having and breeding goats to sell, you know, their milk and their cheese, but she was also able then to purchase things like horses and cows to increase her farming capabilities and increase her income. So it really was amazing to see that. And what I love about these sustainability projects is they really take into consideration all the tiny factors that you don't necessarily see. So for this particular project, they only give the goats to families that are living in mountainous regions. And the reason for that is that these goats like to graze in the mountains. So if you live in flat lands, you know, it's not conducive for the animals. It's not just for the animals. So they don't give it to families who are living in flatter land areas. They give it to people who are living in mountainous regions. And I thought that was really cool that, you know, this is not just like some, Islamic relief is not just putting together projects haphazardly. It really is taking into consideration the needs of the families, the needs of the animals, of the geography, of the location of everyone, and coming up with holistic and sustainable changes for communities. So I thought that was really, really amazing. And I think that's something that a lot of people should know about, is that sustainability is really a way for communities to lift themselves out of poverty. And just want to reiterate what Yusra was saying, is that, you know, we were sitting in our desks, and I'm like, you know, in the marketing department, and sometimes I'm thinking like, how does what I'm doing in front of my computer screen make an impact over there? And I can tell you 100% that it does. And every mother that we talked to, every son that we talked to, every daughter that we talked to said, thank you, please go back to Canada and tell the people that we're so grateful for your support, for everybody who donated, for everybody who supported. We really, really appreciated this, and you have changed our lives. And we were with one of the mothers who just similarly in Pakistan just started sobbing, and she broke down and was talking about her situation, how she's sick and how she has medical bills to pay, but she's still so grateful for the support. And that, you know, we asked her what her life would be like without Islamic relief, and she said it would be as if I was a bird with no wings. And I just thought that that was so profound, that your support, you just picking up a donation bin and getting donations, or you know, going to a mosque and collecting things, or just even making dua for someone, praying for someone, lifting your hands to God and asking him to help these people really, really makes a difference. And through these projects, you're able to support so many people and make their suffering a little bit less. And I think that's a really important thing to take from this. So I'm going to continue talking a little bit about a new and really, really exciting thing that we have coming up, and we're actually launching tomorrow. It's called Follow Your Donation. So the point of this whole campaign that we're launching in 2019 is, you know, we know that sometimes people, they give money somewhere and they're not exactly sure what's going on, where things are happening. And our whole thing this year is we want to come clean. We want people to know what's going on, where your money is going. And even as a volunteer, sometimes you volunteer for an organization, but you just see the front end here in Canada and you don't see what happens. You know, how does my volunteering actually get to the people who are in need? So that's what this is all about. It's going to be a weekly web series where we're going to be releasing videos, talking about, you know, our trips to Pakistan. You're going to see some videos with Yusra, which are amazing and actually super hilarious. She's really funny. You're going to see my videos from Kenya and from Kosovo, and we're going to be releasing them throughout the year. So you guys should totally stay tuned for that. Sign up for the newsletter because we'll be sending them weekly out through there, and also follow us on social media because we'll be posting them weekly. And we're really, really excited to be launching this thing. So please do stay tuned and follow us and follow your donation.
Awesome. And then I'll just kind of touch on the last bit, which was how you guys can get involved. So obviously, you know, besides supporting our projects through donations, a lot of, you know, the people watching might be interested in volunteering. So we're really trying to push our volunteer engagement this year as well. And there's so many different ways that you guys can do that. Number one, we have a portal online that you can sign up on. So it's our volunteer that you'll see there's a link down below, but it's islamicbelief.ca/volunteer. Sign up, and then anytime there's some kind of volunteer opportunity in your area, you'll get notified. And what do these opportunities look like? So domestically, we do a lot of fundraising events. So if you're interested in coming out and helping us with these events, you can sign up to volunteer there. We're also increasing our domestic programming as well. So doing, you know, obviously we're talking about our international experience, and I'll get to some of the volunteer opportunities internationally, but domestically, there's a lot going on too. Just for example, this weekend we're doing a winter distribution of kits to people, you know, obviously in need. So we had a volunteer call out to come and help us build these kits and then distribute them. So that's an active way that you guys can get involved in your own communities right here in Canada. Outside of that, internationally, we had something called Volunteer Abroad, which we launched in 2018 and was a huge success, and people found it really beneficial. So we did 2 projects and 2 trips, one to Malaysia and one to South Africa. So we did an open call out. We recruited volunteers who were interested. They signed up, and you have to fundraise a certain amount, and then you go and you spend like 10 days in these countries at the actual project. So Malaysia and South Africa were educational based. So the trip was to a school that we fund in these countries, and then the volunteers were actually part of that programming for more than a week or so, and they really got to get on the ground and experience what the programming is like in these places. So we have 4 trips coming up in 2019. If this sounds like something that you would love to go on, love to experience, look out for that. We're launching them really, really soon. So it starts off by a recruitment. So you have to apply like you would for, say, like a job or something. So they will launch on our website. We'll put them up on, you know, social media and all that. You can sign up if you're interested and then go through the process. And actually, in a few of the coming episodes, we hope to do that as well. As here, you'll get a chance to hear from our volunteers who have gone to these programs in the past, so you can get a better idea of kind of what an amazing experience that is as well. And then lastly, we have something called challenges, which again we launched in 2018. You know, we had a lot of great feedback from that as well. Me and Arshia actually got a chance to go to the one in Peru. So again, you fundraise. So we were able to fundraise money for Yemen, and then we complete this challenge. So we were, you know, I mean, we did it.
We did it. We're alive.
We're alive. We did it. We climbed. We did like a 4-day trek, climbed to Machu Picchu, and I mean, it was, not gonna lie, it was the most physically demanding thing I've ever done in my life. But it's such an experience. You get to visit a part of the world you've never done before, and you fundraise and raised awareness for people all around the world that need it. So we have a whole bunch of different challenges that are coming up in 2019. Keep an eye out for those 2. Get your friends, sign up, make it a trip, make it a challenge for yourselves, and do something good through it too. So like I said, if you're interested, you know, you can always sign up. You can email volunteer@islamicbelief.ca as well. So that's everything from our end. There are also the comment section. If you have questions, feel free to to ask, if you have feedback about this, feel free to email us at volunteer@islamicrelief.ca as well. But
yeah, thank you. And we're doing this for you guys. So, you know, we really want to, the next episode we're going to have, inshallah, volunteers actually talk about their experiences. So, you know, people who aren't necessarily staff at Islamic Relief, they're volunteers, and their experiences visiting some of our projects. So I think that's going to be really exciting, and I hope you guys can tune in. Again, follow us on social media because we post all of our updates on there for events, for the next relief debrief that we're going to be hosting. Please follow us there. And thank you so much for tuning in and listening, guys.
Yeah, we hope you enjoyed. Have a great night.
Bye.